A massive security and environmental investigation is now unfolding in the southern Philippines after authorities carried out a major operation at a controversial steel manufacturing facility in Misamis Oriental. What initially appeared to be a standard industrial inspection quickly expanded into one of the country's most sensitive investigations this year, involving alleged environmental violations, undocumented foreign workers, industrial safety concerns, and broader national security questions. The operation took place inside the Philippine Sanjia Steel Corporation facility located in Tagaloan, Misamis Oriental, within the Fividec Industrial Authority estate. Authorities from multiple Philippine government agencies moved into the compound after receiving intelligence reports regarding suspicious activities allegedly taking place inside the facility. The operation involved personnel from the Armed Forces of the Philippines, the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission, the National Bureau of Investigation, immigration authorities, and environmental regulators. Security teams secured the area while investigators examined industrial machinery, company records, raw materials, and several restricted sections inside the compound. Officials later explained that the size of the operation reflected the seriousness of the allegations linked to the plant and the possible risks associated with its operations. According to investigators, authorities had received reports suggesting that potentially hazardous industrial materials may have been stored or processed inside the facility. Government agencies also raised concerns regarding possible environmental violations and unsafe industrial practices that could affect nearby communities and coastal areas. As investigators continued examining the site, authorities reportedly discovered dozens of Chinese nationals allegedly working inside the facility without complete legal documentation. Philippine officials later confirmed that 69 Chinese nationals were detained for further investigation, while several Filipino workers were also questioned during the operation. The discovery quickly transformed the case into a broader national issue involving immigration enforcement, labor regulations, industrial oversight, and security concerns. Authorities are now reviewing immigration records, visa documentation, work permits, and employment arrangements connected to the detained foreign workers. Investigators are attempting to determine how the workers entered the Philippines and whether immigration or labor laws may have been violated. Some officials believe the case could expose a wider network involving undocumented foreign workers operating inside industrial facilities across the country. The situation gained even more attention after Philippine Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr. personally visited the facility following the operation. During the inspection, Teodoro expressed concern over the environmental conditions surrounding the compound and the possible dangers posed by industrial stockpiles allegedly stored near coastal areas. Sa safety practices may violation. Pero yung environmental damage ng mga tambak nila dyan nasa tabi ng dagat, e violation na ng environmental code natin. Gilberto Teodoro Jr., Philippine Defense Secretary. The statement reflected growing concern within the Philippine government that the facility may have violated several environmental and industrial regulations. Authorities fear that improper storage or disposal of industrial materials could potentially affect nearby fishing communities, coastal ecosystems, and surrounding residential areas if contamination is confirmed. Environmental specialists are now conducting laboratory examinations on materials recovered from the site to determine whether hazardous substances were being processed or stored inside the facility. Officials say the investigation remains ongoing as technical experts continue identifying the exact classification of certain industrial materials discovered during the operation. The case became even more sensitive after authorities revealed that the steel facility is located near a strategically important area connected to national defense infrastructure. Security officials are now assessing whether the activities taking place inside the compound may have posed broader concerns beyond ordinary industrial violations. Government investigators are examining whether the location of the facility, combined with the nature of the industrial operations allegedly occurring inside the compound, may have created additional national security risks. Teodoro later emphasized that authorities could not ignore the possibility of wider threats while the investigation continues into the ownership and operations connected to the company. This site is already a crime scene. Gilberto Teodoro Jr., Philippine Defense Secretary. Authorities later confirmed that the steel manufacturing facility is reportedly linked to businessman Tony Yang, also known as Yang Jiangxin, a figure who has previously attracted public attention in the Philippines because of alleged links to controversial offshore gaming operations and business activities. Reports indicate that Tony Yang previously faced investigations involving alleged document falsification and identity-related issues. Public attention surrounding the latest investigation intensified further because Tony Yang's brother, Michael Yang, also became a controversial figure in recent years due to political and business-related investigations in the Philippines. Michael Yang previously served as an economic advisor during the administration of former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte. Although authorities stressed that the current investigation remains focused on the steel plant and possible industrial violations, the involvement of individuals previously connected to national controversies has significantly increased public attention surrounding the case. As scrutiny continues to grow, Philippine officials say the investigation will not focus solely on the steel plant itself, but also on the wider network of companies and individuals potentially connected to the operation. Investigators are now tracing ownership records, financial transactions, shipping documents, permit approvals, operational networks, and business incorporators linked to the facility. Officials believe the findings may eventually reveal how the plant obtained industrial materials, machinery, labor, and regulatory clearances. Authorities also warned that any attempt to interfere with evidence collection or obstruct the investigation could result in criminal charges. Inside the compound, investigators reportedly discovered industrial machinery, smelting equipment, and large stockpiles of raw materials now being examined by technical experts and environmental agencies. Security personnel continued maintaining tight control over the facility while forensic teams collected evidence from multiple areas inside the compound. Officials also said medical examinations may be conducted on workers who were present during the operation because of concerns regarding possible exposure to hazardous industrial substances. Government officials additionally expressed concern over reports suggesting that steel products manufactured at the facility may have been substandard. Experts warn that if defective steel materials entered the Philippine construction market, they could potentially create serious risks for infrastructure projects and public safety. Investigators are now examining whether improperly manufactured steel products may already have been distributed to contractors, developers, or construction companies across the country. Authorities say the investigation is currently focused on determining whether the facility violated industrial safety regulations, environmental laws, labor requirements, customs procedures, or immigration rules. Meanwhile, residents living near the industrial compound have started expressing concern following reports that potentially hazardous materials may have been stored close to residential and coastal areas. Some community members are now demanding independent environmental inspections and testing to ensure public safety and determine whether contamination may already have occurred. Environmental experts warn that improper disposal of industrial waste near coastal areas could potentially affect marine ecosystems and fishing communities if dangerous substances entered surrounding waters. Officials are particularly examining reports that industrial stockpiles were stored near the shoreline, increasing fears about possible environmental damage in nearby coastal areas. But if there is damage to the community due to the nature of the material, the Office of Civil Defense has already assigned personnel. Gilberto Teodoro Jr., Philippine Defense Secretary. As the investigation expands, political observers in the Philippines say the case could place additional pressure on government agencies responsible for monitoring industrial operations and foreign-linked businesses. Questions are now being raised about how the facility continued operating despite alleged safety concerns and whether local or national authorities failed to identify potential violations earlier. The incident has also reignited debate regarding undocumented foreign workers and the regulation of foreign-linked businesses operating in the Philippines. Immigration officials are expected to file additional charges if investigators confirm that detained workers lacked proper documentation or violated Philippine labor laws. Meanwhile, authorities have begun reviewing surveillance footage, shipping records, company transactions, and financial documents connected to the operation. Investigators are also examining whether industrial materials or equipment may have been imported into the country through improper procedures. The Philippine government has recently intensified operations targeting suspected illegal activities tied to offshore gaming operations, undocumented foreign nationals, and unregulated industrial facilities. Officials say the latest operation reflects a broader national effort aimed at enforcing environmental, labor, immigration, and security laws more aggressively. Security analysts note that the involvement of multiple government agencies demonstrates how seriously authorities are treating the allegations surrounding the steel facility. The presence of military personnel during the operation also highlighted concerns that the case may involve issues extending beyond ordinary industrial violations. As authorities continue gathering evidence, investigators are expected to submit their findings to prosecutors who will determine possible criminal charges against company officials and individuals connected to the operation. Government lawyers are also reviewing whether additional sanctions, license cancellations, or permanent closure orders could eventually be imposed on the facility. The incident has already triggered major public attention across the Philippines, with many citizens demanding accountability, transparency, and stronger oversight of industrial operations involving foreign-linked companies. Political analysts say the case has become highly sensitive because it touches several controversial issues at the same time, including industrial safety, environmental protection, labor violations, foreign influence, and national security concerns. Officials have assured the public that the investigation will continue regardless of the status, influence, or business connections of individuals linked to the company. Authorities insist that no individual involved in illegal activities will be protected from prosecution if evidence confirms wrongdoing. Meanwhile, the detained foreign nationals remain under investigation, while immigration authorities continue reviewing documentation and legal procedures. Some individuals could eventually face deportation proceedings if authorities determine that immigration laws were violated. Others may potentially face additional criminal charges depending on the outcome of the broader investigation. Investigators are also attempting to determine the exact role played by each worker inside the plant and whether some individuals were directly involved in specialized industrial operations connected to the alleged violations. Security agencies are now mapping the company's ownership structure, operational networks, financial partners, and business connections. Officials believe the investigation could eventually uncover broader information regarding how the facility operated, who financed its activities, and whether additional companies or individuals were involved. For now, operations at the steel manufacturing facility remain suspended while authorities continue examining evidence recovered from the site. Technical experts, environmental specialists, immigration officers, law enforcement investigators, and military agencies are expected to remain involved in the operation as the Philippine government attempts to determine the full scope of the alleged violations. The steel plant operation has now become one of the most closely followed industrial investigations in the Philippines this year, with many observers waiting to see whether the findings will eventually lead to criminal prosecutions, deportation proceedings, environmental penalties, permanent closure orders, or wider reforms involving industrial regulation and national security enforcement.